All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome to Coffee and Darts episode 101. And I'm laughing because I started this. I'm recording it, doing an interview with Jules, and I forgot to hit record. So let's get this thing kicked off correctly. Again, this is Coffee and Darts. I'm your host, Matthew. If you're excited to talk darts and to be chatting with Jules this morning, please make sure you hit a ton 80 in the comments. And I want to take a moment to thank my sponsors, of course, Shot Darts. Shot makes artwork that we get to throw. Incredible barrels out there. They just released a number of new ones. Make sure you're checking out shotdarts.com. And if you have any questions about darts or what's going on, they have great answers as well. They are there for the shot community. They're there for the darts community is what they're there for. I don't know. It all rings together. But hey, they are doing great things over there. Make sure you're checking out their barrels, and there are a number of reviews out there. Go check out everybody that's been putting reviews out on the Shot product. Also want to thank Magicware, Jen Mounts, the guys over there, the ladies over there. These jerseys are incredible. You can get these off the cuff, custom, semi-custom, off the shelf, whatever you need. They've got it available. And I'll tell you, it's like 90 degrees in my garage right now where I'm filming, and I feel nice and comfortable. So if you're one of those people that gets to the hockey and is a little stressed out, a little hot, your jersey will have you nice and cool when you throw that ton 80. All right, let's get our guest on. Bring Jules on here this morning. Good morning, Jules. How you doing, sir?
Good morning. I'm doing good.
Only took like 5 takes to try and get that done. Sorry about that.
You're good.
Yeah. So, Jules, where are you located?
I'm in Kansas City.
Oh, like Kansas City, Missouri?
Yes, Missouri.
Seriously? Are you Chiefs fan?
Yeah. I obviously
like,
didn't grow up with football, but it's pretty easy to be a Chiefs fan right now.
Yeah, well, I guess so. Like I did not know that's where you're at, dude. Like that's like I got Chiefs gear all over the place. I'm a huge you can see my helmet right back there. I'm a huge Chiefs fan. Been one for a long time, for 40-something years. So yeah, cool, man. I did not know that. Super excited. I'm gonna have to send you a bunch of money so you can buy me gear.
I was gonna say I work for Distillery and we're the official vodka for the Chiefs, so I got some jerseys for you if you want some.
Oh, dude, we're gonna have to talk. We'll have to talk. I got money to send you, sir. So let's dive into some darts. And I'm kind of curious. You just mentioned you work for a distillery, which means you got to work. You're not playing darts for a living, but you're playing darts well enough to make a living off of it because you are killing it. It's awesome to see on the social media. But out of curiosity, like, how did you get into darts? Like, what brought you into the darts world?
Yeah, I'm born and raised in the Netherlands, and over there, darts has always been big. So as a kid growing up, we watched the World Championship, some of the major tournaments. In my time, it was Raymond van Barneveld was the guy, and so we would watch it mostly. And I had a board probably since I was 8 or 9 years old, and occasionally I would throw on it once or twice a week for 20 minutes, but nothing serious in those times. But I always liked it, and I told my parents back in the day, say, hey, if you guys let me play darts, I think I can do it. And they didn't like it because the drinking involved, and over there you could drink at the age of 16, and having to go to a bar once or twice a week to play. They didn't like that idea, so they said, don't do it. Focus on football or on tennis or whatever you want to do. And so I kind of didn't pursue, I didn't go after that. And then when I moved to the States, I found out there was a state championship in Missouri every year. And we had a group of Dutch guys, and we said, well, let's just go and make a weekend out of it. And it kind of became a tradition that every year we would go to the state championship. And I would pick up my darts a week before the tournament and, start throwing a bit. And usually I would lose first round. Probably couldn't break a 45. But that one year, I made it to the semifinal, and then I just kind of put a little bit fire in me, thinking, hey, maybe I should practice a bit. And so that's when the ID started, and that was in 2020. And then I got laid off. I worked at a hotel when COVID happened. Lost my job. I started working on my own, and I had the flexibility to practice whenever I wanted. So I just I think for 6 months I practiced an hour and a half a day, and after 6 months that really started. I think in the beginning of 2020 I was a 60 average, right around there. I think yeah, that was where I was at, and then after the 6 months I was probably in the 80s, and then from there I just locally I started winning, and then it's like, well, 2021, let's see, let's go to Cherry Bomb, let's see how I can do there, and from one thing the next happened, and next thing I know I'm traveling all over trying to play these tournaments. So
Well, you're doing incredibly well, for sure. So COVID, that's interesting. So COVID kind of helped you in regards for your darts game because it gave you the time to put in the work. And you've got to have good hand-eye coordination in a reasonably short amount of time. I mean, there's a lot of darts players that spent years practicing to get to any level that you're at currently. And I know some guys that have been playing for years and still aren't at that level. So it's they say it's not genetic, but it's partially genetic because you've got good hand-eye coordination. That's amazing. That's super cool. I know that I've been watching what you're doing on from the social media standpoint, seeing the wins, seeing you do well at these tournaments, and it really has only been a short period of time, and all of a sudden it's your name's won this, won that, took first place here, took second place here, and I think it's amazing. I think it's great. I'm super excited to watch your career take off. So really, this year has kind of been that go get it year for you.
Yeah, and I was very fortunate that I have a employer that kind of supports it and tells me, hey, go do your thing, and obviously I have two little kids, a 6-month-old and a 2-year-old, and I'm lucky that the wife supports it and lets me go do my thing, because without that I wouldn't be able to do it. So
the whole me getting to do this takes a lot because my kids are they're leaving in 10 minutes to go to school, and she allows me to do this grudgingly sometimes because she's like, hey, and I'm like, so, but I totally get it, totally understand. That's great that the family supports you, the work. Let's give a shout out to your employer if you want to, for, we might as well give them a little plug here.
Yeah, no, and so I started working here in the beginning of 2021. Company's called McCormick Distilling Company, and I run the hospitality and tourism. So I do everything with the bar here, the event center, tours. We have a shop downtown, and we make over 300 ladles, I think. So, but my main focus is bourbon. So we're really centered around the bourbon here at the distillery. So yeah, I have a lot of support here. I think my boss even really got into darts, has a full setup now in his basement with everything fully loaded. So yeah, it's cool to see. And they're actually, Shark Tank is this weekend. And they're now the main sponsor of Shark Tank, because they want to be part of it. And so that's exciting to see how supportive they are, and that they're willing to also invest in the sport and hopefully grow it a bit.
Very cool. That's very cool. Yeah, I about a year ago, I kind of switched jobs. I switched brokers, and I brought my dartboard and put it in my office, and now we play darts every other day. It's stupid darts because we play 207, which I have no idea what that is, but one of the guys was like, let's play 207, so that's what we play. But that's cool that they're playing darts where you're at. So this year, I mean, you've got a couple tournaments under your belt. And again, you got wins under your belt. Your trophy cabinet's filling up. What has been one of the, going to Cherry Bomb, which was earlier this year, what was that like going there and having this success and, getting to meet some of these players out there that have been doing this for a while?
Yeah, I think that was the first out-of-state tournament I've ever played. So, I'm playing locally, and I won some stuff locally, and it's a different level. And you go out there and you see some big names walking around, and you're like, okay, well, now I got to really show if I can do it, and especially with coming off so much online darts, and then people question like, hey, can he do it live? And that's a valid question. And yeah, so I think I went in it with not a lot of expectations, but just play my darts, see where it, where it would go. And yeah, I mean, it just everything went well, and had I think I didn't have the confidence that I have now. I think I'm a little bit more confident in my game, knowing what I can do if I need to. Like going in the final, both finals, Friday and Saturday night, I didn't expect to win. And now if I go in the final, I don't think about if I'm going to win or lose. I'm going to, that it's a little bit different mentality. So that first one, I think, probably was the biggest in the sense to, having that win right off the bat, and that it really boosted the rest of the year so far. Kind of been riding the wave ever since, I think.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's got to be exhilarating and fun to go to a tournament like that. Like I had just been in Vegas, kind of just hanging out with friends. Guys from Bullseyes and Brewskis were there for a tournament. I just went for the day and hung out. But I saw some of your competition that you ended up playing at Cherry Bomb because they were there, and then they flew out for Cherry Bomb, which was that weekend, I believe, or yeah, because our tournament ended like on Thursday, and they flew out. So it was kind of interesting to see like they were getting prepped and ready for a tournament of that nature, and yet you were still able to do well, not just well, but win, which is incredible. What has the transition been like coming from the online darts? Because this year has been a lot of that for a number of players. You have Jake Taylor, who kind of was this online, sensation that came on with Bearded Dart Guy, and now he's playing in Champ Darts and doing well there. So we're seeing some of these players that were predominantly online players, or that's where the notoriety came from. And now they're playing in person. Some are fading, which is expected, but then there's some that are really putting it to the oche, so to speak, in the in-person game. What's the transition been like for you?
For me, it's easy. The online darts is really good, and I think it's the reason I'm doing so well, because you have access to play the best players. Like you mentioned, Jake Taylor. Every time I play him, he brings the best out of me because, in my opinion, he is the best. So you gotta, he just pushes you, and all those guys do. And I think for me, going back to live darts now, I struggle going back to the online. Not really, like my mind isn't really in that. Like I want to go to tournaments, I want to go play. So I cut back quite a bit of the online stuff. Just because it gets too much, and leaving Friday, coming back Monday, all that kind of stuff. You cut your week in half of when you can play these online matches. Because like now I go to Washington, I can't play my matches, and so the next week I have to catch up all these matches. So I'm cutting that back a bit. And then I just like a couple nights a week where I just listen to music and kind of play Dart Connect and not really interact and just do my own thing. So
yeah, use the online darts for more of a practice type thing and not have the competitive situation.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it's fun. I've been lucky enough to play with a lot of the guys from the Soft Tip Central US on, like we play on Sundays, and I bring this up because I played Matt Campbell, and I don't know how many people can say that I lost to him, but it's just that interaction in that regard. From a tournament standpoint, it is a little more stressful than when someone's like, hey, Matt, let's just go play, and you can talk and hang out. There's a huge difference on the online when you're playing. I don't want to say for a trophy for us, but you're playing, to say, hey, I did well in this tournament versus let's just hang out. So, yeah.
Yeah, and it definitely it's gonna be here to stay. It's gonna and like we talked about, for you not having anything out there. I mean that's huge, having that playing Matt Campbell, playing good guys on Grand Board or whatever it is that you can't get within hours driving distance from where you're at. So that's huge.
Yeah, and it's been a lot of fun to be able to play. There's other named players that I've played. It's just Matt, and my name's Matt, so I have to run with the Campbell, and I'm an American, so I should say more American names. But hey, I gotta love on the brothers up north. It's amazing, the online game, and I agree with you. I think it's here to stay. I think we're gonna see both formats become something. Someone's gonna grab hold of the online play. Like Darts Players Florida is doing a good job with driving the online play. Bearded Dart Guy's doing his thing. You've got others that are out there that are pushing online. I think Darts Players Florida right now is the real driving force. USA Darts Productions, they've been doing some stuff, but again, I kind of lean towards the guys over in Florida. Like they're going to drive that into its own real thing within the darts community. And so I see them both here to stay. If you had a choice between one or the other, and I know you're doing a lot of in-person stuff right now, but is there one format versus the other that you kind of like a little bit better now that you've been doing both?
Oh, definitely in person. Yeah, and I'm one of those players that I need a little bit of fire underneath me. I can't play stale. Like I need interaction. If I play my basement and I hit a 180, I grab my darts and that's it. But if you hit a 180 in person and people are watching and a little fist bump and you need to get going. So I think my game in person is just better, and I feed off my opponent, and honestly, I think everyone will say that's where it's at, but the online really helps and serves a purpose, obviously.
Yeah. Well, I really believe that there's players. I love in-person stuff because, like you, I'll feed off of other players. Like, if they hit a score, I want to beat their score. If I lose, I'll lose, and I'm frustrated not at anybody else other than myself, because ultimately you can only be mad at yourself within a game. Nothing anybody else does, whether it's a scream because they hit a 180 or not, that should never throw you off your game. And so I love the in-person because the same thing for you. And I know that there are some people that don't like that and they love the online. So again, I think they're both here. I want to give a shout out to sponsors that you've already accumulated. You've gotten at least 3 sponsors that I know of, or at least 4, like Wicked Pickle, the shirt you're wearing. I know they're a sponsor, but you've got some sponsors within the darts community. I'd like to talk a little bit about that. And then I do want to dive into some triathlon comments, because I want people to know who you are. And was that a triathlon you did earlier this year, or an Ironman? What was that specifically?
Not this year, unfortunately, but I've done my last one. I think was 2019. I've done a full Ironman. So I've done 3 of those, and I've done a handful of half Ironmans and just triathlons in general, and then running marathons. Probably did 8 or 9 marathons in recent years. But I blew out my knee. I still played soccer up until about a year and a half ago, and I blew out my knee and had a pretty bad recovery. I think it took me almost a year to really be running again. So I'm still running. I'm still working out every day. I'm biking. I laid off the swimming for a bit, but the goal is to find a way to combine, a healthy lifestyle and play darts. I think that's for the longevity. If you want to be around in the sport, you can't go and get hammered every weekend and recover during the week and do it again. You got to find for me at least, it's finding a good balance. Otherwise, I won't be playing in 10 more years, and that's I'm looking ahead. I'm trying to be ahead of it.
Yeah, and I've said, and if you look at the younger crowd or group of players that are coming up into the PDC, Willie Williams and the like, this is a young group of guys that are thinking health consciously. They're thinking about the workout. I know the PDC always liked the guys that were a little bit heavier, that drank and stuff, because it was the average player type sport at the time. But now we're looking at the longevity and staying healthy. And I picture the PDC and maybe Champ Darts at some point actually having a workout trailer type of thing available like they do for the PGA and so forth, where guys can go get a workout in before the darts. I know I'm pushing it there, but I think that's the direction. So that's cool. Here's something I noticed that you said, or how you said things. When you were younger, living, over in Europe, you called soccer football, but now that you're here in America, you're calling football soccer. I just caught that, and I think it's kind of funny.
For the convenience of it, so people understand. I don't play. I probably break both my knees if I play American football. Not a good idea.
It's a sport, man. I'll tell you that much. My knee is shattered from playing real football. So, or at least what we call football. Who knows? We're all confused, right?
Yeah.
So you've gotten some sponsors recently, Loxley. What's it been like? Have you gone after sponsors, or have the sponsors been knocking on your door?
In the beginning, so I initially signed. My first sponsorship was with White Horse Darts, and they do my jerseys. And Pat is an amazing guy, a local guy, and he's really great to work with. He very supportive. And then I signed with Horizon, which is local, and they've always said, like, we want to help you, and if something comes around that's bigger or better, we won't hold you back. So they've been really supportive. And then when Loxley reached out, having that connection with the Netherlands for me was just really great. It made a lot of sense. And Horizon Darts was nice enough to let me go and say, hey, go do your thing. So I really appreciate that. And it's been great. I've been working with them. We just worked out 3 prototypes of my dart. For me, it's important that I find a dart that I'm going to be throwing with, because the last thing I want is they make a dart for me that I'm not going to be using. So putting a lot of effort in making sure that it's right.
Yeah. Well, no, it does take a number of renditions. It does take a number of prototypes and figuring out the right feel, the right placement of weight. I think a lot of people get into darts and don't understand, it's 21 grams. So it's 21 grams. Well, it's not true, because you may have more weight to the front, the middle, it just depends on where that's laid out, the grip that's involved. There's so much that goes into really getting it done. And I've had the opportunity to work with Shot personally on my barrel. And so I know, kind of that process. It took us months. I mean, I started on it, and it was probably almost 6 months before I actually physically got a barrel. So great. I'm excited for you. Loxley's a great company. They kind of came on the scene a little over a year ago. They signed some really good talent, which we've seen do well in the PDC and other tournament type things. So congratulations on that. That's a really awesome thing. I think you're the first American to sign with them. So
it's
cool.
It's great, and they've been very very supportive, and they reach out every other day. We talk. They follow me closely, and it's great. It'll be fun going over there and hopefully get to meet him and connect. And then I signed with L Style a couple of weeks back, which was a no-brainer for me since I already used their stuff. So that was an easy decision. Yeah.
Again, another good company, a solid company with a good stable of players that they back. So that's good. Congratulations, man.
Thank you.
Sometimes that's the hardest thing is really figuring out what you want to do there. So that's cool. Congratulations on that. That it's got to help a little bit. That's got to make the wife feel a little bit better about what you're doing. Let's talk a little bit about what's coming forward. Like, you've got a tournament coming up this weekend. Are you just going to continue to play these regional tournaments, I guess, for the year, for the rest of this year? But any thoughts of, looking at Champ Darts to get a card with them, or any thought of maybe just going straight to the PDC and going to tour school?
Yeah, so I won my tour card through the online Q school. So I have my tour card, but the first weekend I missed because of the Charlotte Open, and having won a national qualifier, I decided I was going to go to Charlotte and chase the WDF this year. So coming into the year, I really wanted to qualify for the World Masters in the Netherlands, and I did that, at Cherry Bomb, and so now I'm kind of in the race for Lakeside, because the top 2 on the WDF ranking will go to Lakeside, or if you're in the top 16 on the world ranking, then you're a seeded player at the World Championship. So for me, I just felt the WDF this year just was I had a better shot at that than going to the CDC. So that's why I skipped that first weekend, but I'm definitely going to Philly for the last weekend and seeing where I stand. The plan is to go to Q School, so I'm hoping I'll do well at World Masters. I really hope I can qualify for Lakeside, and then from Lakeside go to Q School in Germany. And my goal is kind of to give that 3 years. If I can have a shot at Q School 3 years, and if I don't make it after 3 years, then I'll reevaluate where my game is. But giving it 3 years will put less pressure on me, because I'm going to go to Q School with no expectations. And if I don't get my tour card, I go to the Challenge Tour. But yeah, obviously, I want to see where I can go, and I think the best way to do that is Q School.
Yeah. So your goal here is really to kind of take this to the pro level of the PDC, essentially.
Yeah, and I think I'm definitely not there yet, but I feel there's plenty more growth in my game, and when I play in my basement and I practice against Dart Connect, more than half the time I'm over 100 average, and so if I can find a way to translate that more consistently in tournaments, I'll be fine. But that's the key, and that's finding out how can we do that. The more I play, I feel the more comfortable I get, the less nerves I have, and so yeah, it's for me it's a 3-year project, and of investing a lot of time and energy and resources. And after those 3 years, if it's not working out, then I might go back to just playing state championship every year. Who knows? But yeah, for now, I'm fully invested in the next 3 years.
Nice. I think like the Steel City Open there in Pittsburgh, I think your average was in the low to mid 90s, which
some of the matches, but my best tournament so far was the CDC match play, and I think that going into the final, I think I was averaging 96 for the tournament, and the semifinal I won 6-0 with a 105 average, and then in the final I get nervous and I don't throw nearly as well. But yeah, the better the competition, the higher your focus, and if you play, with all respects, but like if in the first round I play someone that throws a 55 average, and then I'm not going to throw 100 average at you. That's just how it goes. And but yeah, I played Gates in the semifinal, for instance, Steel City, and both of us were missing some doubles and not scoring well. It's a race to 3, so it's just a short format. And I missed 3 for the match, and he gets to start the last leg, and I opened with a 41, and he opened with a 140. But then when I had 379 left, I go 180, 171, double 8, done. So seven perfect darts. And so I think that's the difference with me 6 months ago, is that I know I have that in my locker. I can do it. And having that confidence, that's just what you need. And then doing it.
Yeah, no, that's kind of what sets the average player apart from those that can play from a pro level. We throw a 41 and we're like, and especially if the opponent throws a 140 or 180 or whatever they may throw that's significantly more than us. Those at your level don't go. It's just, it was a fluke. The 41 was a fluke. Let me come back and just play my game. And 7 perfect darts gets it done. I'm just curious. So you've had, you've played Gates, and Gates has been around for a while, and he's a superstar when he goes over from a soft tip standpoint over to Asia. Here in the darts community, everybody knows who Gates is. But like over there, just walking around, everybody knows who he is.
Mm-hmm.
So what's it like playing with that kind of talent? Someone that's been around for a while, someone that plays darts professionally. I mean, this is what he does for a living. He's at all the tournaments. He's doing well. His sponsors love him. What's it like with that? And did you guys have any good conversations that you can share?
Yeah, and I think so Gates and I, when I started playing soft tips, we've had a good amount of soft tip battles, and yeah, he's a beast, obviously, and I've played him at the CDC match play in the quarterfinal, and then I played him in Steel City, and yeah, guys like, I know who he is, and I know what he can do, so he kind of triggers me, because I know I need my A game. So usually it's probably a compliment to him, but like, I know I can't mess up against him, and playing with him is it makes things easier for me, actually, because I know I can mess up, and he'll come clean up after me. So that is nice, and yeah, just picking his brain. He's been playing so long, and just asking him how he does things, and how he approaches things, and didn't realize he's already 50 years old. He looks like 30, but yeah, that was great. That's great, and I think now that people know me a bit better, I get approached by the better players. But I enjoy playing with local guys. I play with Ryan Mooneyhand a lot, steel, and then with Mike Brewer, I play a lot of soft tip. So my preference is playing with those guys. But if someone comes along like Gates, and I'm not set up, then I'm definitely going to jump on it. And same with Baggish this weekend. Like, be stupid not to play with him. So
yeah. Well, to get back to the PDC, and then we'll jump back, because I'm sure there's some stories from the couple of tournaments this year. But back to the PDC, if you got your tour card, that means essentially moving there. You've got family and stuff. I mean, it wouldn't be such a hard move for you. I'm assuming, is that correct?
Yeah. So I mean, I don't have any family here, so all my family is over in the Netherlands, and from there it's easy to get around. I mean, I thought about it. I think it's probably, I didn't think about it hard, because I don't know how viable, or like how good my chances are of getting a tour card. I think that first year I'll just go in it and experience it, and I won't be upset if I don't get my tour card. But if I would, I probably would stay here for the first year and just travel back and forth, and then see how that first year goes, and then maybe the second year move over there. That's kind of the idea that I have. I mean, if my first year is really bad, then I'll probably just do the same,
Yeah.
But if I have a good look at staying in that top 64 or making the top 64, then I definitely would go over there the second year and stay there. I think still it'd still be hard to give up your job, a job you like, and for unknown, because I mean, it's not a given you're going to make a good amount of money or do well. So yeah, I'm a little hesitant of giving up, my professional career for a darts career. I don't know. That would take a lot to do.
It's got to be a fine line. You've got family, you've got a career that you like. It's a tough decision, and a lot of guys make that decision every year or have to.
Mm-hmm.
And it's tough, and it's kind of unfortunate that darts doesn't have the money in the backing yet to really allow for the top 100 plus players to just do darts. We may get there someday, and the U.S. it's pushing. I mean, it's trying to bring in the right money to allow, like Champ Darts and the players there to be able to play and not worry about other things. So it's coming. Unfortunately, I don't think either you or I are really going to see it. It'll be after us. Not that I'm a player, but just in general. I do have one question for you, though. And if you don't want to answer this one, I totally understand. No one's going to feel any way either. But if you made it to the PDC, are you going as a Dutch player or are you going as an American player?
No, I would go as an American player.
Nice.
And the reason is that, if you ask me where my loyalties are, where my heart, I mean, I'm Dutch. It's never going to change. I'm from the Netherlands, and I'm proud of that. But I learned how to play darts through the American system, and through now the CDC gives us the platform, and I probably have to anyway if I would make it through the CDC or with the WDF as well. But I also want to just if I would, that would be a way to give back to American darts and promote American darts. And I think the Netherlands will be just fine. They have plenty of good dart players. So
one or two good players.
Yeah, and I think for those are the reasons. And also, like, I see the amount of support, especially here in Missouri. It's great to see like how supportive everyone is, and I get a lot of messages if I win a tournament, and yeah, that really helps. It helps having people behind you that support you, and it's great.
Yeah, well, it was kind of more of a fun question to ask, but I think that's great. As an American and trying to present and push American darts, the more players we can get that can represent is a good thing. So I think that's great. You could actually go as a dual citizenship darts player. We've had a few of those, but I think that would be pretty cool too. And for those that don't know, your nickname is the Dutch Dragon. Correct? I'm pretty sure that's what everything I've read said that. So, it's nice that you're still putting in, for the heritage. For me, that's kind of a thing. Personally, I love when people, play to their heritage. They do things, the African warrior, those types of nicknames and stuff, I think are just awesome. So just kind of wanted to ask that question more for fun.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to correct you on this, but it's not Missouri, it's Misery. Just want to correct. My mom lives in Farmington, Missouri, which is the southern part of Missouri. Just wanted to make sure that everybody knew that that's really what it's called. So.
Well, yeah, in summer it definitely is, but.
Yeah, she's my stepfather is a bee farmer. As a retirement gig, it's his retirement thing. He has 600 bee things down in southern Missouri, and that's what they do for fun. I don't know. So
yeah,
being here in Southern California, I'm like, when we see bees, we run because they're just there to kill you. So, what's it been like? It sounds like being in Kansas City, Missouri, which I'm jealous of. It has been a good thing. Is that kind of where you just basically landed when you came to the States?
Yeah, that's where I came for. I did an internship during college, and so I was here in 2011 for 6 months. Met my wife, went back, finished college, and then I moved here in 2013. So,
nice.
Yeah. It's a nice city. It's not too big. It's not too small. There's a pretty decent size dart community, mostly soft tip, but it's great. I love the city. I just don't like the humidity and the heat in summer, but other than that, it's pretty good. Yeah,
I would say that the humidity thing, isn't an issue here, but over the last 3 or 4 years, it's become a problem for us too. I think it's just it's a natural occurring thing.
Yeah.
But we do have the beach to go to, so it doesn't make it too bad. You've mentioned the WDA a couple of times, and most of the people that are watching this show will understand The BDO is defunct. The WDA is kind of taken over in a sense where the BDO left off. With the Lakeside and some of these other things, they kind of have, it's a roundabout way. They've kind of taken over for the BDO. And so those that watch normally and know darts understand what we're talking about there. But for those that don't necessarily understand or, might be catching this just out of a whim, the BDO was an organization that was kind of like the PDC or was more national, and they had their world championship. They kind of went away, and then the WDA came in. What's it, you're talking about having an opportunity to play for a world championship and have that. What's that transition? I don't know how much you followed it, if it affected your career, of any way, or if you just were like, I'm going to go with the WDA, and that was kind of where you were at.
Yeah, and so I winning Cherry Bomb, that gave me points, and I climbed in the ranking a bit. The downside for me is that the points of 2019 for the WDF stand. So I had a lot of catching up to do, and I realized everyone was going to go to CDC in Tampa. So the Charlotte Open for me was the opportunity to get close to everyone, and so that's why I went to Charlotte, so I can get those points, and I end up winning it. And it put me in second place behind Chris Lim. So he has a few points more. And then Washington, that I'm going to this weekend, initially was a silver event with double points, but I guess they mistaked. So it's another bronze event. So there's 45 points to be earned for the first place. And I don't know what second gets and third and fourth, but so that's the reason I decided to go to all the WDF events for the rest of the year to chase those points. If you make it in the top 16 on the world ranking, you go to the world championship as a seeded player. And then if you're on the regional ranking, the US ranking in the top 2, you also make it. You're just not a seeded player. And then you have the Seacoast Open in Boston later this year. If you win that, that's kind of the golden ticket. You automatically qualify for the World Championship. So, yeah, there's a lot of ways to get in, and none of them obviously are easy. But yeah, that's right now for this year. That's my focus. And then at the World Masters later this year, there will also be a World Championship qualifier. For 4 more spots. I'll be playing in that as well if I need to.
Yeah. So and I was saying WDA and I meant WDF. I don't even World Darts. I don't even know where WDA came from. Well, that's there's 2 things that I kind of take away from that. One, it's nice that there is this situation that they kind of stepped in on the BDO. But what I liked what you were saying there is, like, I need to do this here. I need to do that here. If I, am okay at this tournament, you have a path. You've got a vision for what you're trying to achieve. And it's fun to talk to darts players that actually have that. I have talked to some darts players, some that we consider professional darts players, that when you ask them questions, they're like, I don't know. Like, I just go play. And if I win, I win. And then someone tells me, oh, you're on to this, or you get to do this. Mm-hmm. And it's nice to see. I mean, that in my mindset, I would put all my money behind you. Like, you're the guy that if I went to a tournament, there was betting on a tournament, my money would be behind you because you've got this, hey, this is what I need to do and this is where I need to go. I assume a lot, but I assume that you will certainly do well. And I'm putting money on that you get your tour card this year. So I'm laying that down. Just want to say that in front of everybody. That you get your tour card, and then we'll have to figure out how that goes from there. And I'll be able to say, hey, I interviewed you. So down with that. Good with that. Speaking of all of this, the darts and all that, what has been, and I want to be respectful of your time because we've almost been on doing this for an hour. So I was going to ask you, what's a story from the last couple of tournaments that something fun that has happened, or something that's out of the ordinary that most people wouldn't see or know about, if you've got one and you want to share that quickly.
Yeah,
That you can share.
I have a funny one. There's this guy goes by the name Jake Sutter, and he likes to talk, and so and he, sometimes we let him think he's good, and it gives him more talking. But I played him about a month ago, and he was sitting on 165, and he can't hit triples for days, but he goes trip 20, double bull. So we made a lot of fun of him, and yeah. So now everyone knows he won't hit a trip 20, but he'll hit a 170 on a 165. And so we took it out and we won. It was a doubles event, and I didn't see him the rest of the night, so I'm sure he went upstairs and cried a bit. But yeah, I like the banter. We have a lot of banter going on. It's pretty friendly, and I know I'm better looking than him, and I'm a better dart player, so I can laugh with it.
You gotta have some fun when you're playing the darts for sure.
Yeah.
You can't be all serious.
Yeah.
So as we kind of wind this down, and like I like to say, is kind of like land the plane. It sounds like you've kind of got this year semi-planned out as to the directions you can go. You've got some paths. You've got the next 3 years. How is a darts community of us? I like to say this, like, how can we help? Because we're all a family. What are things that we can do to help support you going forward outside of us all throwing you $1 million? But what would be something that we could do to help you out as your career progresses?
No, I think that is already in place. Like I can't think of one person that's not been supportive or not said, hey, even when you beat someone, that it's not like just acknowledge that you're playing well or anything like that. I feel it's there's a lot of dart players in the country, but it's a very tight community, and everyone and I've seen it. People get sick, dart players get sick. How other everyone steps up to help, and that's great to see. And it was new to me as well. I think coming from like soccer or other sports where it's pretty, people are out to kill each other sometimes, and break someone's leg, or there's less camaraderie. And I feel in darts it's pretty amazing to see how everyone is supportive of each other and wants to help. And that's already there, and that's really all I need is just the support. And that's great.
Yeah, and I think hopefully more people will, after watching this, will support you more, having a better understanding. If you want to take a minute, and give a shout out to your sponsors again, just to remind everybody, who they can go, by helping them, that helps you, who your sponsors are.
Yeah. So I'll start with the first one, White Horse Darts. Pat, just does a great job, and I love his jerseys, and just helps where he can, and we're really good friends beside that too. So it's just great to have, and then we have Loxley Darts, great things to come. So hopefully the dart will be out early October, mid-October, somewhere around there, and I can share some pictures, and it's going to be really cool. Really excited about that. And then L Style, so glad I signed with them, and got my first tournament win with L Style in Steel City, and hope I can represent them well. And then obviously my employer for supporting, and we use our Wicked Pickle brand, but just in general the support, and not only financially but also allowing me to take off a day here or there just to go travel. So that's great, and it just helps. It helps a lot. I mean, if you don't have that and you can't travel, and you can't go to a tournament without having to worry about work or anything else. So that's huge. It helps a lot. So I really appreciate all that. And I signed with a couple other sponsors, but that's not released yet. So I'll keep that for a later date. But yeah, great things to come, and looking forward to Washington this weekend.
Yeah, and as this video will probably be played next Tuesday, so after Washington, I just want to congratulate you now on the win at Washington.
We'll see.
We'll
Don't jinx it.
Don't jinx it. I just want to say it up front. So,
Yeah.
Well, sir, thank you so much for joining me and for being on the show. I really appreciate it. Thanks for supporting and watching as well. Hopefully I do a good job for the darts community, just getting stuff out there. So
yeah,
I do appreciate it. If you just hold on 1 second, I'm going to kind of like close the show out and then we can chat a little bit more.
Sounds good.
All right. Oh, real quick, where can people find you? I forgot to ask that question. If somebody wanted to come support you, what kind of social media, where can they find you on the social medias?
So my biggest one is the Jules van Dongen, the Dutch Dragon Facebook page. So I'm trying to really push there, and I do giveaways and everything on there. Trying to really push that outlet. That's my biggest one, and then I'm working on a website. It's going to be the DutchDragon.com. So working on that. But yeah, so follow me on Facebook is the biggest one, and I'll be doing a bunch more giveaways in the next couple months. So.
Very cool. Very cool. All right, everybody, check that out. All right, sir, hold on 1 second. I appreciate it. All right, everybody, thank you so much for hanging with me and with Jules, talking some darts. If you have not caught or seen anything that he's been up to this year, go back and check out some of these tournaments that have happened. It's incredible. I've been able to watch over the last year or so what he's been up to, and I personally think he's a superstar in the making. And he's in Kansas City, so he's a superstar as far as I'm concerned. Hey, guys, again, everybody, thank you so much for hanging out and watching this episode. I will see you next week. Thinking there might be another interview in the mix for that one. But again, don't forget to check out Shot Darts. Of course, they sponsor us, so Shot Darts for all your darting needs, shotdarts.com. And in regards to jerseys, I'm kind of a magic wear guy, so make sure you're checking them out. Thanks, everybody. I will talk to you soon.